So are we back to our best or are we falling off a cliff? Here we go, Nike VaporFly 4 first run thoughts. So welcome back to another shoe review video. This is a first run video on the Nike VaporFly 4. Very excited to deliver this one to you guys, having picked up the Streakfly only a week or two ago. Now we have the VaporFly 4 in. What's the difference between the two? How did this fare on the first run? And will I be using this in my upcoming race next week? As with all first run and first impression videos, we'll be going through how I tested the shoe. I'll give you guys a quick technical overview and then we'll dive straight in to my first impression. So without further ado, oh wait, hold on. Disclaimer, I purchased this shoe with my own money. No one has sent it to me. Let's get into how I tested it. So this got delivered on the Wednesday, perfect timing for my Thursday session, and I wanted to test this shoe on a range of paces. There's a couple more tests that I want to do with it, but for a starter, I managed to get some good marathon effort out of it and then cut down to some faster paces. Earlier in the week, I'd already hit 14 by 400 meters off 45 seconds easy jog recovery in the Adidas Adios 9, so that was the fast session out of the way. Today was all about getting a marathon effort at the start in the form of a 3K effort. Took 2 minutes easy jog recovery, and I alternated, or I did 2 sets I should say, of 2K off of 90 seconds easy jog and then a 1K off of 60 seconds easy jog. So I went 2K, 1K, 2K, 1K, and I was able to pick the pace up in this thing to some pretty fast work. The only problem that I will honestly say is it's extremely hot this week, and I really did struggle a little bit out there on the run in general, which never paints a good picture. So do take that with a pinch of salt when I get to my first impressions, although I did gather some good thoughts after picking up the pace in this shoe. It certainly does come alive, but we'll get onto that later in the video. Overall, I think what I say is the shoe got better as the run went on. I managed to clock 10 miles in total with the warm-up and cool-down, so it's a good first run out there for the VaporFly 4. So let's move on to a quick technical overview. We'll start by saying I went true to size in this shoe, which is a UK size 13 for me, and it fitted perfectly as per every other VaporFly version. We're talking about a 35mm stack height in the heel, 29 in the forefoot, so we've changed down to a 6mm heel to toe drop from the original 8 in the previous 3 versions. And in my UK size 13, it comes in at the lightest version of all of the VaporFly range, 234 grams or 8.2 ounces. And as always, we'll start away at the back of the shoe, talk about the heel counter, ankle collar, tongue, lacing, upper, midsole, and finish with the outsole. So let's just start back here. This is a very comfortable fitting shoe in general. I think possibly one of the best fitting VaporFlies. We had some baggy uppers going on in the version 2 and the version 3. The Vapor Weave for me was brilliant. Slip your foot in, it felt like it was in a torpedo. For a lot of people, they didn't like how hard it was to get their foot in, and there definitely wasn't too much wiggle room. I feel like this is a good refinement of version 2 and 3. You really do get a good lockdown feel, and that does indeed start at the back here. It's relatively rigid, it's got some good spring back, so there is some extra material in the back here to give it a bit of structure, but as you can see here, and in most racing shoes, you're not going to have too much, but you have that classic VaporFly bumper padding that we've seen in pretty much all of the versions that runs around the back there, and then the ankle cut there is nice, sits under the ankle bone perfectly. The tongue is pretty much paper thin with a little bit of padding that goes over the top, some ventilation holes in there. It's not a gusseted tongue, but again, it's held in place with a little tab on the top of the tongue there. I didn't feel any movement with the tongue. It didn't slide left or right, so that was absolutely perfect. It wasn't too short, wasn't too long. I do find the back of the shoe here, when I slip my foot in there, it felt really good. Kudos to the laces as well. Very nice laces. They've got a bit of bite to them. So again, I laced up from cinch from bottom to the top. When I did the laces up, they do bite nicely, and I didn't feel like they came undone, which is good, especially if you're racing longer distances in that shoe. And over the 10 miles, I didn't feel like the shoe loosened or I gained any wiggle room in the upper. It stayed locked down nicely. And again, it's a relatively standard lacing system. Some reinforcements around the eyelets there. Nothing fancy going on, just really nice. So again, again, all of this so far, so good. The upper, as I said, possibly the best upper out of all the 4 Vaporfly versions. I am a massive fan of the Vaporweave, so I do think from my perspective, I still prefer that. But out of 2, 3 and 4, this is definitely the best. You definitely do not feel any bagginess like we have experienced in the 2 and the 3. This is much more refined. You get a much snugger fit over the top of the foot, but there's still some good room to splay your toes at the end. I don't feel like it's bunched. It doesn't feel like a narrow shoe, and with someone with a wider foot, it feels very accommodating. So all of that is very nice, and again, as you can see, and as you expect with all super shoes, very see-through upper there. There are some extra bits of material that run around the edge there and a few overlays here and there, but overall this material is very see-through and very breathable. Moving on to the midsole, we've got full ZoomX midsole which runs front to back, and likewise we have a carbon plate in there that they call their fly plate that also runs front to back. You can see the cutout there, and again a very aggressive scoop down on the carbon plate. You can see where it runs. If I trace my finger here, it runs along there and then it starts to cut up very aggressively. I've talked actually in my Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3 video, very similar placement to the plate there, but a less aggressive cut up in the carbon plate in the Puma, whereas the Vaporfly we're all used to, especially in version 1 and 2, getting a few little issues under the arch in those first 2 or 3 runs before they sort of break in. That's something that I experienced anyway, and I know a lot of you guys did too. This is no different, although I will say absolutely nothing from that perspective in the first run. But what I'm trying to say is we still have that aggressive placement of the plate. Less midsole foam though, and that is noticeable. We'll come to that shortly. I was trying to show in my previous unboxing video that when you get up to a UK size 13, obviously everything expands, and so from my perspective, although this is World Athletics legal and it's meant to be sort of obviously under 40mm of stack, in this case 35, when you measure from top to bottom, I've got nearly 50mm of stack here, but of course I'm measuring from the outside. Your heel sits inside, so there is some blown rubber up the outside walls here, but it was the same across all the Vaporflies, and that's what happens when you get up into the bigger sizes. I think the 40mm is measured, what is it, around like a US 8 or a US 9 size or a US 10, but as it gets bigger, so everything expands with it. So I was kind of quietly confident, thinking to myself that actually I wouldn't notice that much of a difference, but I tell you what I did, and as I said, we'll come on to that shortly. It definitely feels much more like a racing flat shoe, but that's all still very nice, very good, and what you'd expect from ZoomX. And in terms of the outsole rubber coverage, we have got a big 4-foot covering here. Very nice. I felt very grippy out there. It was very dry, it's very warm at the moment, but I do run across some sections that are a little bit gravelly, some loose stones, and of course you can do a bit of sliding on those, but I felt really gripped to the road, was able to corner nicely in them, and that felt really good. I think that's going to aid with durability nicely. We've got the classic heel pads here, we've got a bit of rubber there, but of course the rest is exposed midsole foam, and I expect to see that start to get chewed up after 100 miles. We'll see. And that is it for the tech. So with all that out of the way, how did I find the shoe, and did I notice the major changes in the shoe, in particular really the fact that we've gone down to a lower stack? Well, absolutely I did. I didn't think I would, but I really did. It definitely feels much more like a racing flat. Very weirdly, it's less aggressive, but it does come alive at faster paces. So let's go through the pace ranges and I'll give you my thoughts on whether I feel it stacks up against the Streakfly in terms of a 5K racing shoe, and would I choose this over my Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3 that I'm using right now. So as I mentioned earlier, I found the shoe definitely came alive the faster I went. I actually found that in that first 3K rep, when I like to do things nice and cruisy and keep things nice and controlled as a bit of an extended warm-up before going into the workout, I felt that it was quite dull, to be honest with you. It's not something I want to run at that pace for a long period of time, and that is kind of in and around my marathon effort. Now, I know a lot of kind of clickbaity titles and stuff were going around early doors with this shoe. It's no longer a marathon shoe. Can you use it for a marathon and that sort of stuff? And I can understand why people would think that, because I have raced my best marathons in the Vaporfly 1 and Vaporfly 2. I'm definitely a Vaporfly guy over an Alphafly. I do enjoy the version 1 of the Alphafly. Version 2 was terrible. Version 3 is good. It's a good trainer, but I wouldn't use it in a marathon. I did use version 1 at London and I enjoyed it, but as I said, my best marathons have been with the Vaporfly. I tend to work better with the geometry of the shoe, the plate placement. I feel like I prefer this more aggressive style shoe. It just works for me, and I think as a bigger runner, that tends to lend itself to these type of shoes more. So with that all being said, after I got that 3K rep done, the first thing that pops into my head was I would not want to run a marathon marathon in this shoe. Being completely honest, I didn't find it to be particularly exciting. It's, as I said, it's less aggressive. I don't feel like this type of shoe puts you on your toes. I definitely want something more that has one of these 60% rocker placements, more in the new shoes. Something like the Saucony Endorphin Elite. We see it in the Adios Pro 4. I know other shoes are doing it too. Adidas's new Evo 1 and the 2 that's coming out, which obviously is geared up more towards elite runners, and I know a lot of us can't afford those ones, but you know what I mean. A lot of these shoes now are putting you up on your toes more by putting the rocker placement a bit further back and having a bit more of a curl up. I feel like the Puma Deviant Nitro Elite 3 is definitely more aggressive too than this shoe, so I definitely wouldn't want to run long distances in it, although that will be the next test, because for me, I found with the Vaporfly version 3, it just went flat and mushy after a longer period of time. So I do want to check out the foam and see how it handles the long run this weekend. But it definitely got better the faster I went in this shoe. I definitely feel it's more geared up for those faster paces. As I said, it's definitely less aggressive, but I feel like it responds more. So when I got down to those 2K reps, even though it was super hot and I was super sweltering, and by the way, I have recorded that full workout for you. It will be over on the Extra channel. There is a link in the description to the Extra channel. You can go and check that out. That should be live in the next day or so when I can get that one edited, so you can see the full suffering of the workout over there in the heat. But ultimately, the 2K rep started to really feel much better, and then the 1K rep, yes, I was really enjoying myself. So for me, instantly after just one test, and yes, there will be plenty more testing to come, including, as I said, the long run test, I can definitely say that I would much rather use this thing over the shorter distance, which of course is something that I'm going to be racing a bit more of in the summer. So it should set me up nicely for that. But would I choose it over the Puma? I think the honest truth is no, I wouldn't use it over the Puma. I would much prefer that one. It feels more aggressive. I can notice the bigger stack. I definitely feel like this is a super trainer. It's very exciting. I feel like I could use it quite a lot in training and have a good time out there with it. It feels really good. It's definitely not world beating. And I'm going to be honest with you, again, I asked myself, would I use this or the Streakfly? And I think I would probably choose the Streakfly. It feels more aggressive. The Streakfly feels exciting. It puts you up on your toes more. It feels even lighter than this shoe. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is brilliant that this thing has come down so much in weight, but I feel like the Streakfly is definitely more of an exciting shoe, and it's definitely given me a headache for next week's race. I definitely feel like this is more of a safer option to go for next week. But ultimately, I do feel like the Streakfly might be the better option. Overall, I think it's a brilliant update so far after one run. Next test is going to be the long run test. Plenty more testing to come. Plenty more testing, I think, in training as well. As I said, I really enjoyed it out there this morning. I'm just looking at it and going, I feel like other companies are doing a better job right now at updating their racing shoes than Nike. They're definitely clinging on to the original super shoe tag here. They're definitely taking pride in the fact that they were the ones that really blew up on the scene with the 4%, the version 1 and version 2 of the next percent. Don't get me wrong, they were fantastic at the time, but other companies are just now advancing so much more. And of course, that new Puma shoe that's come out that's got everyone talking looks to be really exciting, and I can imagine instantly, without me even trying it, it's going to be faster and more exciting than this thing. But I will say, for me, as a bigger runner, someone that's taller, someone that has always been a Vaporfly fan, this is a very welcome update. I really did enjoy it. I just don't know if it's going to mix it up there with the best of the super shoes this year. So there we go. Those are my first run impressions of the Nike Vaporfly 4. I will throw it out to you guys. How have you found it? I'm assuming some of you guys have managed to pick the shoe up because it's been out for a couple of weeks now. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on the shoe, and if you're thinking of picking it up, or if you were waiting to see what my thoughts were on this versus the Streakfly as to which one you were going to get. Speaking of which, check out this video up here if you missed my Streakfly update. This is where I did a mile time trial, and you can see more information on that one up there. And check out this one down here where I do a little bit of a Nike versus Adidas battle with their shoes. Check out that one, and I'll see you guys over there.